But also during that time, UFW made huge gains in California. They had, they basically were able to pass a law that improved the Agricultural Relations Act, which is the only labor law that protects farm workers to organize. And because they had been, a lot of the organizing in California had been stalled because basically the government of California was able to manipulate it so that it no longer served its purpose. And it became another blocking point for farm workers to organize. And so they were able to make revisions in that legislation so that it opened doors for organizing. Also, at the same time, the UFW, or the Fair Trade Agriculture Project, got phone calls from some dairy workers in Hermiston that work for a mega dairy. It's like 4 times larger than any other dairy in the area, and its own city. And their workers were under huge exploitation, and so they couldn't stop. They couldn't not help those workers, and so they ended up taking that whole campaign forward. And so eventually, I ended up being the last person on the project too, and I forgot to mention, but I mean, basically, and the reason why is because I had actually been employed by National Farmworker Ministry, which is a supporting organization that supports farm workers who are organizing. And so, it was all basically the same project, but my position was paid through that organization. And so I ended up being there. And basically at that point is like, this is a great project, and there's a lot that can be done in terms of building support for farm workers in the Seattle area. But I felt like it wasn't necessarily my time to do that on my own. And at the same time, an opportunity opened up for me at the Service Employees International Union, and I decided that, at least for now, I'd felt more comfortable working with a team of organizers and getting more experience, because basically if I stayed at that position, I'd end up having to be like my own director and do a lot of fundraising for my position, and it just wasn't quite the place where I wanted to be at that time. But all the people that were on that project are still working. Now we have a longshoreman organizer. We have a really exciting project that the executive director of the project near the end, her name was Saldana, and she also was one of the few women that served on the United Farmworkers executive board for many years. She was the one leading the campaign to win that new piece of legislation in California that allowed open doors for new organizing. And she's now up in Skagit Valley, and she is starting a community-based organization of Latinos and farm workers. Is it called Mano a Mano? No, it's called, I forget what it's called at this moment.
Me too, I don't remember.
But,
Sorry.
And the rural relations organizer, she's finishing up her PhD and has stayed out in Eastern Washington, being an amazing positive force for community college students in the Valley, where she's been teaching. And then one of the guys has stayed on with UFW as the regional director, finishing up with the dairy campaign. And so, and that project is still alive. It's just a matter of the right people and the right time of coming back together, probably.